Welcome to Distribution Talk with Jason Bader, the show where we dive into the stories, struggles, and solutions from business owners and thought leaders in the wholesale distribution market. Hey, Distribution Talk listeners, Jason here. In this episode, I had the pleasure to speak with Michelle Shearer-Rodriguez, president of Shearer Supply. Shearer Supply is an HVAC distributor based in the Dallas, Texas area. Michelle has this amazing warmth and sincerity when speaking about her company and the people who work there. She has this incredible commitment to training and education that stems from an unselfish desire to give everyone the same opportunities that she was given. As you'll hear, I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation, and I hope you do too. All right. Well, hey, Michelle, thank you so much for coming on to Distribution Talk. I really appreciate you accepting the invitation.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
It's been a lot of fun for me to do this now over the last few months. And, I love reaching out and talking to business owners of all different environments. And I'll tell you, being exposed to your company, I really wanted to get you involved with this. I think you're going to make a great guest on this show today.
Well, I'm excited about it. And I love the fact that technology is being used because we see it with our vendors, our customers. Everyone is demanding use of technology. So I love being part of this. I feel kind of in the 21st century.
There you go. Yeah, I know. Kicking and dragging. I get dragged there every once in a while myself. So as we do in Distribution Talk, I love to start people out and ask the question, how did you get started in the business?
Well, you might say it's in my blood. My dad, Wayne Shearer, started in the heating and air conditioning business right out of high school. Actually, he worked for a company in Des Moines, Iowa, Green Colonial, and they were a furnace manufacturer. That would be manufacturing experience. The men that he worked with, great mentors in his life. He would go on to be a contractor. Then he would go on to be with the manufacturing company of Ream-Rude. They would transfer us to Arkansas. From Arkansas, he would call on distributors in Texas, got to know a gentleman in Texas, and they decided to become a distributor. And so at the time, that would be a distributor of the Coleman line based out of Texas. And that was in 1983. It just so happened that I graduated from Texas A&M in 84. And so I came out with a BS degree in psychology, which my dad said, I'm thinking that's what that might be. And I said, well, it could be, because it was hard finding
Sure.
a really good job that was paying anything decent. But he said, there's a lot going on here starting out this business. If you want to start here, work here until you find something else to do. And of course, we are 36 years later and he hasn't gotten rid of me yet. But what was so interesting is that you can't script anything like that. And so with him allowing me in the business, we were there at the office at 6 a.m. We got, probably left the office around 7:30 in the evening. There was so much to do. And there wasn't, that's my job, that's his job. None of that. It was, let's get it done. And so the beautiful part of it is that he allowed me to have access to be in meetings with vendors, with customers. I tell everybody that I've got my degree from A&M, but I got my education from Wayne. And so, it was that showing me how to run a business. But I started off kind of administratively, accounts receivable, which, yes, there were typewriters, there were log books.
Sure.
Nobody would understand that today, but, calculators. This is what we did. And over the 36 years, I have been in every position in the company. Whether that's shipping, receiving, branch manager, territory manager, operations. Basically, what would happen is that I'd be in a position and kind of make the rules, the guidelines of what that position did. Then we'd grow a little bit. Somebody would come in and fill that job. Then I'd go to the next job that needed to be done, make sure that job was centered and knew what the responsibilities were. And we'd grow a little bit and somebody would come in and take that job. So over the course of 36 years, I feel like that was the best experience I could have because I understand every position and every role and what it does and how it plays within the company.
With being involved with all those roles, and I had a similar experience. I spent, time in my family business doing all those different roles. Which one was your favorite? If you had to drop off the president hat, what would you do?
I know this, and
Okay.
I say it all the time. A branch manager.
Okay.
The branch
Oh, yeah, yeah,
manager
yeah.
in a distribution company is where everything meets. A branch manager and his branch delivers everything that we're out there selling. That is who we are. Okay, we distribute product. We make sure that that customer has what he needs. We are his liaison with the industry. We are his connection. And so the branch manager, when he gets to work, him or her, they have 100
Mhm.
things to do that they know they have to do. And then there's going to be 100 things that they didn't know they had to do. But it is absolutely where everything meets right there. Because if your branch fails you, why would a customer want to do business with you? If he can't get
Sure.
his product, if it's not accurate, if it's not efficient, why would he want to do business with you? But you are crazy busy every day. You are meeting with the customers, the vendors are coming in, you're running your own business. I was never so busy, but that established the company. How I ran a branch is how all the branches are ran right now. I mean, I understand the efficiency. I like a clean branch. I like a good looking branch. I like a branch that has a welcoming factor to it. Everybody on the inside knows they're part of the sales team. So, absolutely, I love the branch manager spot because, like I said, that's who we are.
That's really interesting. And actually, I recall this when I worked with your organization earlier this year. You got up in front of the class before we got started. And I can remember this, you speaking to them and saying that you are the most important part of our organization. It was great because you instilled that in them. You told them how important they really were. And I think it allowed them to step back and realize how, first of all, how important they are, and then the awesome responsibility that they've been given in that endeavor.
Absolutely. I believe that wholeheartedly. Everything starts with them. And so often in this industry, the branches get overlooked and the importance is put on sales. But I say to you, do we need customers? Is there anything to sell if you don't have a branch that can take an order accurately and put it on a truck and understand the time that that customer is investing in you, that he needs to get out fast? Everything that we sell is being delivered right there at the branch level.
It's absolutely correct. And I think honestly, that is why I've become, over the last probably 3 or 4 years now, or maybe more than that, been so involved and so passionate about working with branch managers and to give them all the tools to make them successful. And I believe honestly that in most of the distribution organizations I've worked in, and frankly, my own family business, that the training was very lacking in that group. We just didn't give them the tools necessary to be successful. It was like, okay, you're a great inside salesperson. You're the lead inside salesperson. Man, you do a great job there. Why don't you manage the branch? But I'm not going to tell you how to do it. Why don't you go ahead and do it anyway?
Yeah,
It's just
definitely. I mean, training has been an issue, and that is something we've really grown and developed. I will say one more thing. We hear a lot from our outside salespeople, and right now, we've got 32 outside salespeople, but every single one of them would tell you that they can work for years on a customer, get a customer, and they can lose that customer overnight if that branch loads the wrong piece of equipment or,
right.
delivers short, something like that. So it is important. But, there has been more importance. I found that through Hardy, they have helped a lot with the training and the branch staff, but it's everything. And it's your insurance carriers now that help you with the delivery drivers and, them understanding the importance of what they do and the safety concerns. So we get help from a lot of areas. There is so much more attention now on the branch. And my philosophy as well is there's inside, there's outside sales, and no one trumps the other. We put now as much training into the inside staff as we do the outside
Mhm.
staff. And I think it's what you said. That wasn't always the way it was. It's the way it should
Very
be,
true.
though. And because they do so much there to deliver who you are to the
Mhm.
customer. So, yeah, training is really very important to us.
Well, I think speaking, of that inside outside dynamic, for the longest time growing up, the outside sales position was that pinnacle position. That was the thing to aspire to. And I've always been of the opposite mindset. I've really believed that that inside sales position is so critical. If you just thinking from sheer customer contacts per day, how many people can an outside salesperson actually make a connection with on a daily basis? And I would venture a guess that 10 to 12 at maximum. But from an inside position, 30, 35, 40 people. I truly believe that that is where the experience has to be developed. I mean, that's really where those skills have to be developed because, as you said, there's so many potential points where the relationship could be lost on that inside sales side.
I agree. And we have worked very hard over the years, as I said, that one doesn't trump the other in
Mhm.
elevating the inside sales stuff, especially the branch managers. Because what you don't want is a branch manager that does a great job that says, I really want to be this guy over here. And so we've
Yeah.
worked a lot to kind of equalize that. So it's important.
It is, and I think that's a great point is that equalizing it because when you find somebody that's really phenomenal on that inside, and I can recall several people over the years, that I worked with that were just phenomenal on the inside, highly organized, diligent, steeped in customer service. It was the right position for them. But the structure of the organization meant that the outside sales was the higher paying position. And they found themselves longing for that higher paycheck and they would go into a position that was truly wrong for them. And at that time, we didn't have personality testing or anything cool like that. And I don't know if we would have trusted it anyway if we had it or not, but people would put themselves into an outside sales position and they would flounder and they'd fail and they would hate it. And then unfortunately, they didn't feel like they could come back inside. There was an ego hit there. And I always felt like that was a huge failure on us as an organization to not recognize this person as being great in that inside environment.
I think that is industry wide or certainly for distributors. But, that stigma of, well, you're on the inside, you're not as good as the outside guys.
Right.
Again, we've had to work real hard at that over the years. And it wasn't always that way, as you're saying. But I think that through the years, I think we've now all realized the importance of the operations and that you mentioned personality tests and so forth. There
Yeah.
is that guy that's really good with operations and he's not so good with his own time management, which is what you need on outside sales. And
Hmm.
so recognizing that and talking to people about it, whereas before, if you just had somebody that did well in the branch, well, the next step was outside. And then he failed on the
Absolutely.
outside because he didn't have the time management tools or
Right.
even the sales skills that you need or the confidence. That wasn't his bailiwick. But half of having your own business is putting the right person on the right seat on the right bus.
Yeah.
And we constantly, day in and day out, are looking at that because you don't always get it right and things don't always stay the same. But you're always kind of moving those pieces around, hoping that you find that place for that person. If you feel that person's the right person for your company and you're going to invest in them, then by golly, get them in the right seat and then they will be fruitful for you.
Yeah, I can recall back again, when I was active in my family business, spending countless hours in front of whiteboards with other managers and really slotting people into spot, well, this person could probably move into here. And again, constant shuffle of team members in trying to find that right fit for them and for the organization, of course.
Well, when you are growing a business, oftentimes that comes down to this person comes to work every day. This person is dependable. That doesn't necessarily mean that that person is the right person for that job you're talking about. But when you are growing a business, you don't have a lot of choice.
Hmm.
And so that's that development. And certainly the business developed me. I don't know that I was always the right person to be in this spot or that, but I learned it and
Sure.
grew into it and developed into it. And so that's what, I mean, really, if I look back on all these years in the business, the people that make this business were people that didn't necessarily come with a whole lot of attributes other than they work hard, they had good work
Yeah.
ethic, and they were willing to learn and they were willing to help us grow. And that's what we all did together. That is,
Mhm.
I think, the awesome part of being an independent wholesale distributor, being family owned. We've seen the development of people. That's that good feeling that, hey,
Mhm.
we did this because we all developed, all of us.
Just thinking about some of the people over the years that have developed, I can think of one individual specifically that has grown with my family business, and he's been with my younger brother now 25 years, and he didn't have a whole lot of education. Came out of high school, mediocre, but got into the business. Actually, I worked in the warehouse with him, and then he's grown up through the organization to be a fairly influential individual in there. I mean, extremely influential. and you're allowing them to grow and to develop with you. And it was because of attitude, hard work, not what he brought to the table. Absolutely correct. But what he developed and the opportunities that this individual was able to seize, because that's what he wanted to do.
Right. And a lot of it goes back to, I mean, your responsibility to provide an environment that they are comfortable in, that they can see a future, that you're
Right.
given responsibility because people crave that,
Hmm.
responsibility. They love because the pat on the back is that very thing right there. I'm going to give you some more responsibility. Thank you for doing that job. You're going to make a little bit more money.
Yeah.
Sharing, in a meeting, planning, that is when I look back on it, those people that you're talking about in your brother's business, I mean, they
Yeah.
attach themselves to it. They feel a part of something. They're also
Hmm.
growing something while they're growing themselves. That's that part of the business that I absolutely love.
It is. It's just so rewarding. I mean, seeing people develop in organizations. I mean, I think that's absolutely rewarding. And again, I'm just looking at just mentally looking back at personalities, going, "Wow, yeah, they really thrived in this environment." But they took responsibility for their own development as well. Yes, did the organization provide opportunities for them? Sure. But I think there was also a strong self determination. They saw that there were opportunities and they decided to do something with that. Whereas maybe somebody coming in, I mean, there's that expression about an educated derelict, somebody who's highly educated and feels like everything should be given to them, and they don't want to go get it and they don't want to attack it. So, I mean, honestly, I'm going to take the person who just wants to attack it every time.
Every time. I agree.
Well, we've spoken a lot about being, family owned, family businesses. You have a lot of family members in your business.
I do. You know, I go back and
Yeah.
forth on that count, but I think it's standing at 13 right now.
Standing at 13. Okay, the day's not over yet, but we got 13 on staff right now. That is a lot of family in the business. What holidays look like for you all? What do you all talk about? Is it
Well,
business meeting or
yeah, it can get very boring if we talk about business, but here's the thing is that it starts off with my dad. I've been working with my husband for 25 years. So I worked with my dad
yeah.
for 20, then he retired. I've been working with my husband for 25. So
Hmm.
the thing that I love that the good Lord did for us is I am very industry, marketing, sales, operations. That's my bailiwick. My husband is a CPA, MBA, and so he is that numbers guy. That partnership has worked so well. And I do it with him. I would just tell you, I do it with him. It's not me. He and I have worked together for so long, and that has worked. So it starts there. It started with my dad and I and our relationship. Then my
Hmm.
husband Abel came in and he brought that finance knowledge. So that's where it started. And, I think we established how to work with each other. It's mutual
Hmm.
respect, it's giving each other credit for where credit is due, not having any pride. Pride gets in the way. You're
Oh,
done
yeah.
for. You got to let pride sit outside.
Sure.
But then after that, when my dad retired for estate, the company was basically sold or redeemed out by my three sisters. So I am the majority holder, but there's two sisters too. Then
Okay.
everybody goes, and women get involved too? And yes.
Sure.
So I have one sister that came into the business a few years ago. The other one is a silent partner. And
Mhm.
again, people marvel at that. Well, it works. It's mutual respect. And then my husband's brother is a vice president of the company. His son-in-laws are involved in the business. What's happened lately is that we have three children,
Yes.
27, 25, 23. All of them have multiple degrees. And what's so interesting is that the oldest, he's a CPA. He handles the finance side, but he's an accountant that doesn't like accounting. And so he loves the sales side. So all the salespeople roll up to him in operations.
Okay.
My daughter is HR. Her degree is in HR. She's running that
Mhm.
department of 170 employees. And then the youngest is IT and his master's is in IT. So, what they don't have in experience because of their age, they come in with education. So, all of this with family just means that everybody respects everybody. And we work together, we work as team, we communicate. And again, I just really believe it's that pride thing that can hurt businesses. Looking at she's doing that or he's doing that or what. You know what? I don't worry about any small stuff and I don't allow anybody to. We don't talk about anything like that. We just rock along. We do good business. We enjoy our business. We are highly competitive as far as wanting to win in the industry. But other than that, why wouldn't you want to work with people that you trust and you know?
Absolutely. I'm thinking about, again, the three sisters, in the organization here. And it just reminds me of another story of another company. I was friends with one of the brothers, and he had always been the face of the company, been the president. And then when his parents passed, the shares were divided equally among three siblings, three boys. And all of a sudden, you had three equal shares and no real direction with how that organization was going to be run. And there was an awful lot of ego thrown in there. And they went into a terrible situation where it was a rotating presidency every year and nobody could make decisions. It was terrible, terrible, terrible situation. So there's some fear associated with having these family businesses where you have multiple shareholders in the business.
Well, there is. And you said something that, about the equal representation by those three brothers. And I had been in the industry so long that that's what my dad kind of gave me because I was the leader and I was the face of the company. Hindsight, it actually worked out. And I'm not being boastful of it. I'm just saying that that did help because I do have the ability to direct the company because I'm so invested in it with my years, with my career
Yeah.
and what
Yeah.
we've grown. And so my sisters, they are awesome. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they don't question because I've used good judgment
Mm-hmm.
and I believe I've earned their respect and I respect them. I respect everyone in the company, all the family members, believe everybody is treated fairly. It doesn't go without effort. I mean,
Sure.
it is prayer and effort and then prayer and then effort,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
sometimes
Sure.
if you make a mistake, then you say, you know what, I made a mistake and I need to rethink this.
Mm-hmm.
But, you just take each day that you're given and you do your best. And that's really
Mm-hmm.
what I've tried to do. Sounds very simple, but if you wake up every day, you pray about just, let me be joyful, let me do well today, then I think it'll be okay. And that's really how I work each day and start each day and end each day. So,
Mm-hmm. And I think again, when you are willing to come at it from that place, and I always refer back to like the servant style leadership,
mhm.
from that place of service, that you can make great decisions from that. And a client of mine, he shared with me a book that he read fairly recently. It was "Ego is the Enemy,"
Mhm.
and it was just so apropos. And I thought, oh, that's exactly
Mhm.
what we have to always remember. Ego is the enemy, and that's really again where you can fall back into that service position, and you do. I think you make incredible decisions if that is the place where you start from.
Absolutely. Ego is the same thing as pride. There's no place for it.
I know, I would agree. So, speaking of the of your children coming into the business, how did that occur? I mean, did they always think that they were coming into the business? I mean, did they work? I mean, how did that how did that happen?
Nobody really grows up wanting to be in the heating and air conditioning business, I believe.
Right.
It's just
Oh yeah.
something that happens. They knew early on that degrees were important to our family. And
Yeah.
so they are competitive in that way. And they went and got their degrees. They worked for other companies. But what we offer is just what I was offered when I began. When you come into the company, what I told them was is they will be allowed to hear me in every meeting that takes place. Vendor, contractor, employee, they'll be able to hear it. So they'll get a more well rounded education. So whether it's
Yeah.
Angelica in HR or Addison in IT, they're going to
Yep.
hear the sales meeting. They're going to hear the tough meetings with your vendors. And so we offered that. And I think that in being part of something, it's just sitting in when you're 23, I don't care how many degrees you have, they're going to put you in a cubicle. And when you're in that cubicle,
Yeah.
you're going to grow for years and years and years and try to get yourself up there. It's a lot of work. I demand a lot of work, but I didn't have to
Mhm.
demand it. They were willing to give it because they saw that they were part of something. It had their family name on it. They were
Mhm.
degreed up, but what I was able to give them was that exposure to the whole company so they can see it, okay? And they can learn from it. It's kind of like an MBA program there at Shearer Supply. And I know my kids are going to hate me saying this, but it's true. As a mother, I know that I can still pour into them. I can still pour into them. I can still train them the way they're supposed to be trained and treat them with respect, but also expect a lot from them. When everybody goes out to the real world, you take a chance on a good company or not, or a good boss or not. But I know where they
Mhm.
are. Whatever happens, they are getting a good education there in that company. Because of that, I think they love it.
Well, that's good. No, I think absolutely correct. I mean, one of my greatest fears, I mean, I'll tell you, is that my children leave the house and not be self-reliant, not have that desire, to go forth and look for. I mean, that's something that I wake up often, thinking I have got to let them, fail a little bit, and I have got to let them find their own way. So now, one thing you mentioned though was they didn't come straight into the company out of school. They all went away for a little bit, and probably to varying amounts of time or degree. How important do you think that pause is, that separation between when they were from school into the organization?
I've heard a lot of stories out there in distribution. Some have rules that the family members have to work in another industry or another company for X
Mhm.
amount of years. We didn't have any rules. We didn't see any of this coming. We had positions open. We had need. Our needs met what they could offer.
Mhm.
And so it worked. I think that they do maybe appreciate it a little bit more or see, and they look back and they go, wow, I was working 80 hours at this, big four accounting firm. And so they do see, that there's a little bit more quality of life working for us. So I think it just comes down to those people. They're just like any other employees. They had qualifications that met the needs that we had. We didn't make jobs for our kids. We had
Mhm.
job openings. And I think there's a big difference there. They came in, their
Sure.
resume would challenge anybody's resume along with their experience and along with their personalities and their work perseverance. So, yeah, they got the job based not on their last name. Yes, okay, we're not fooling
It
ourselves.
helps.
It helped, but
Yeah, sure.
I didn't put a high school dropout in there. And that's what I tell everybody. These people were qualified.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that. It's funny. I had an interview a few episodes back, and she was telling me that her son had applied, for an outside sales position in their company, and the sales manager actually didn't hire him, didn't take him. And I thought, oh my, that guy, that's got
Yep.
chutzpah. I mean, I was like, wow,
Yeah.
man. And she said it was honestly the very best thing for her son
Sure.
to not cut, because it wasn't the right fit for him. And I think that's just so critically important, that when our kids come into the organization, that they want to come in the organization. It's not feeling like they are indebted to the organization or indebted to the family. It's they want to be there, and they see an opportunity, and they see something greater than themselves that they can be a part of.
That is absolutely where we are. I marvel at these three young adults. Get this, they love the heating and air conditioning industry. And aren't we all trying to get young people into this industry, whether they have degrees or they're skilled or they're not skilled and will need to be skilled? We want to bring people into this industry. The people like me, I'm not going to be here forever. And there has to be this younger generation that appreciates what this industry means and what it can mean to families. And so when my kids love their contracts, I mean, they absolutely love our customers. They love the employees. They love the vendors. They love every bit about it. How cool is that?
No, it's phenomenal. And again, how do you take that lightning in a bottle and you spread that out into non-family members? That's the trick right there. And I honestly, I don't know the answer. And maybe Angelica will get us there. We don't
Well,
know.
but and again, my kids, the people that we've been hiring now are people they went to college with that also have degrees. They never heard of heating and
Yeah.
air conditioning, and they're coming into our industry. The kids are pulling them in there because of their qualifications and our needs. So I'm excited about that part. I'm excited about contractors
Mhm.
that are young, that are worried about reviews and Google Analytics. I think that is so cool. We have to be
Sure.
interested in that to grow our industry and to stay sustainable. So we need these young people.
Absolutely. No, I think you're absolutely correct. I mean, and it makes it fun. That's the one thing that, this could be a very, very dry business. You have to have fun with it. You have to do things that are different. You have to innovate, and you have to fail, and you have to, every day you get to do this on a daily
I
basis.
totally agree. Our oldest son, Alex, he has what's called E3. So he wants E3 throughout the company. And E3 is excitement and energy and enthusiasm. He goes with that all the time. And so,
Mhm.
that's kind of a mantra now in our company because he wants it to go, go, go. And he wants that enthusiasm for the industry. So I love that he's brought that to our company.
That is fantastic. And, just from my personal experience with your organization, coming in, and the group that I spent time with, they actually embody that E3 mentality. I mean, they're there. I mean, you have somehow found this group. And again, I was just exposed primarily to the branch managers, but these folks are enthusiastic. They truly love working for your organization.
I've been very blessed to have the people that are part of this company. And I'm like my kids. I never thought that I would be here 36 years later, having worked in this industry as a woman, but I love it. I feel totally blessed. I love everybody I work with. Not every day is a great day or an easy day, but
Sure.
it's work, but it's been so good for my family.
Absolutely. Well, Michelle, I just am looking at the time saying, man, we better wrap up here. But, I thank you so much for coming on the show. See, I told you this was going to be, you were going to be great.
I want to go on. I got more to say.
It's just absolutely been such a pleasure to reconnect with you. And so,
well, thank you so much.
Anyhow.
I've totally enjoyed it and look forward to doing some more of these.
Thank you for listening. If you liked what you heard, consider hitting that subscribe button. Links to sponsors, products, and services mentioned during this episode can be found in the show description area on your podcast application or at www.distributiontalk.com. Distribution Talk is edited and mixed by Andrea Klunder and Edwin Ruiz at the Creative Imposter Studios. This episode was brought to you by my company, The Distribution Team. We are a consulting services firm dedicated to helping wholesale distribution clients remove barriers to profitability, generate wealth, and achieve personal goals. To learn more about how we can help your company succeed, check us out at www.thedistributionteam.com.